Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellencies, esteemed guests, business leaders, academics, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's very fulfilling to see a room of people that are here to discuss the education agenda, something that we started as a desire to see something different and a desire to see how education can progress in the continent is turning out to be quite a movement. So a big round of applause to yourselves. Thank you very much for supporting what we have put together today. I generally tell stories, so I'll start with one of those. In 2009, my aunt decides to make a phone call to me. So she calls me this afternoon, and she says to me, we need to have a family meeting. So she calls a family meeting. Now, generally, at the time I was 28, at 28, I was really feeling myself. I was at the prime of my powers. I'd started working, I was earning a salary, so life was just incredible. So she calls and says we need to have a family meeting. Now, generally, when you're 28 and somebody calls you to have a family meeting, you understand this is not going to be the nicest thing, and you don't know what it's about. So this is a Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I actually have no idea what this is about, but because it's my aunt who called, I have to go all the way to the East Rand and find my way to her house. So we gather, and as we gather, we're sitting around the table. Now the family is 4 boys, my aunts, and then there's me. So that makes 5 boys. So we sit around the table, and all of us had been summoned pretty much in the same way. Barring one who was actually guilty of what we were about to discuss, and we actually didn't know what this was about. So we sit around the table, and typically she says, let's pray. Then I know, okay, this is about to get real. We open in a word of prayer, and this is how this conversation starts. She says, Amen, and then she asks if anybody wants a biscuit. And I'm dying at this point because I'm not wanting to eat biscuits. I'm trying to find out what on earth is the problem. So we eventually arrive at one big conclusion, and that big conclusion is that one among the 4 of us is getting married. Now, every family has got that one special one, right? We all have that. And in this case, the one special one who was getting married was the one gifted one that all of us just had a lot of respect for. So this was our Ndavizita guy. So he has, one of the things that he did in his lifetime is he has an accident in Soweto somewhere. But the accident is his fault, and he then decides he'll do something slightly different. So he pretends to have passed out. And while he's passed out, you then have this situation where ambulances are all around and he's pretending to have passed out. So he's completely passed out, and then one of the guys says, it doesn't look like he's got any medical aid on him, let's take him to Baragwanath. So at that point, he wakes up. And he says, sorry, so I've got a medical aid card, it's in my back pocket. And he passes out again, just to make sure that he actually gets where he's going. So this guy is now getting married. So it goes very quiet in the room, because I'm just the type that says the things that everybody's thinking. So when people are trying to be polite and they're not saying things, I just say it just to help the room. So I look around and I have this eye, and I'm asking, okay, I'm thinking, and then I'm asking at the same time, and then I blurt it out. And my question was, whose daughter is this? Because now I'm concerned about the daughter who my brother's going to take away. So we eventually arrive at now, okay, this is going to happen. By the end of that meeting, we are so happy that we finally have a wedding in the family. It's never happened before, and we're all overjoyed. And if nothing else, the rest of the boys are looking around and going, well, could have been worse, could have been me. As that conversation finishes, immediately we kick into planning mode. So now, when is this going to be? What needs to happen? And typically, African families have got a lot to say about weddings. A wedding is the one time when you actually realize that your life is not your own, really. So we go into planning mode, and we're going to this excessive planning of what needs to happen. And we plan in advance for a good 2 years. Now, one thing my aunt forces us to do is she forces us to have these meetings of ours of planning. She forces us to have all of these meetings at her house. So she almost creates a little nest where we all go. So you can have as many meetings as you want, but all the meetings that you have must be at this house. And we completely hate that. So we hate the fact that we're being forced, because now when you're there, you have to behave a certain way. Like you can't have these, in-depth conversations that we normally have as boys. So she forces us to do this. And literally for 2 years, we have these rehearsals, as we call them. Now we're rehearsing all these steps, and some of us are gifted with 2 left legs. So you now have to learn how to dance. Now for 2 years, there's that, and in between, there's a traditional wedding, and there's all these wonderful things, but we're now forced to have it in this environment, where, strictly speaking, it's got limitations. For 2 years, we bond. For 2 years, we have conversations that were difficult, but we have them nonetheless. For 2 years, we become one strong unit. And for 2 years, we begin to agree on values. We begin to agree on direction. We begin to agree on who we are as human beings over that 2 years. By the time the first traditional wedding came, we had bonded so much that it just became a natural thing. By the time we then went to finish off Lobola at the time, on that day, we take this uncle, and we drop them off at the house where this poor young lady resides. And this uncle was carrying money in this side. So as we drop them off and he gets out of the car, and he stands up with a few other uncles, he decides, for whatever reason, which I still don't understand, to move the money from this side to the other side. And while he's moving the money, because it was made to look like a lot because we'd changed it into small denominations. So while he's moving the money from this side to the other, he decides to take it out in one bunch. At this point, the people that are receiving us are coming out to open the gate, right? So as they're coming out to open the gate, he's doing this money transfer, e-wallet, just in a different form. And as he's transferring it to this side, he unanimously decides, in his wisdom, to drop the money on the floor. Now, this was a windy time, right? So as he drops the money on the floor, the wind immediately comes. I think the devil was just trying to do something. And immediately, this comes and just splashes the money all over the place. So there we are. The family is coming to receive us. We've just dropped all this money on the floor. And we start picking it up and we start collecting all these funds. We collect it, we put it together, and we hand it over to the man. And obviously, we got a discount because we started off with a mistake. And that continues. We had so many experiences that by the time the actual wedding came, we sat in that wedding forum and we started dancing in. As we were dancing in, we had all learned the step because we had 2 years to practice the step. As we were dancing in, it was so formal, it was so nice. And then my cousin had, in his wisdom, decided to go and get somebody I've never heard of before and after the wedding to become the DJ. His name was DJ Tabang. I've never heard of him before, but he was DJ Tabang from Tembisa. So if anybody wants to make any bookings, please contact me afterwards. So DJ Tabang decides he's running the show, and he's got a nice, very nice lineup of songs. The songs go on and on and on, and he's changing from one song to another, and this vibe is actually just happening because DJ Tabang is in charge. The innovation that I saw there was incredible. We had been convinced that DJ Tabang was an international hit. When I saw the equipment he was using, I just thought innovation at its best. A small laptop and an aux cable into an amplifier, and the amplifier was ours that we paid for. But we paid DJ Tabang. He goes on and is changing the songs. And one thing I've learned about songs changing is every time a song changes, whether you're dancing in a church or you're dancing in a club and your number comes on, you change the step and immediately there's that lift, right? So DJ Tabang starts playing with our emotions. Then every couple of minutes he changes the song and we react. Every couple of minutes he changes the song, we react. And then we keep changing our step. We get to a point in the wedding when DJ Tabang unanimously decides that, okay, he's had enough of this dancey stuff. He hadn't read the lyrics of one song that he then decides to play for us, right? At this point, we ask the bride and the groom to stand up and go and have the couples dance. As the couple's dance comes up, DJ Tabang switches to Luther Vandross and he plays Dance with My Father. Now, the lyrics of that song, back when I was a child, something like life becoming difficult. You know, before the innocence, my father would pick me up, turn me around till I fell asleep. Later that night when I fell asleep, he would put $1 under my something, never knew that you'd be mine. And the song goes on and on and on. And this poor couple, despite the song that's playing, is now having to dance. We then have a friend called Stephen. Stephen is highly upset that this song is actually playing. Stephen goes up, stands up, and then changes the song, and off we go. And this poor couple is now dancing to Nguwe Standa Sam. The song ends. The wedding ends. What we have after that is a group of people that's inseparable. Is a group of people that is just inseparable to a point where anything we touch works. By the time the rest of us started getting married, this group was just so put together, and we developed a rhythm, and we developed a system. What's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is what we're trying to create at Fundi is an environment similar to what my aunt created in our home. A place where you go for help, for comfort. I always say to the staff that work for us, you don't come to Fundi to do anything other than to change lives. The idea is to create exactly the same environment that my aunt created in our home. To create the same environment that had heart. To create the same environment with one major goal in mind. Yes, the short-term goal was to make sure that my cousin gets married. But the long-term goal was to unite a family. What's the short-term goal for Fundi? We've touched 1.5 million lives and counting in 22 years. But 1.5 million lives sounds like a lot of lives. But if you put it in the context of the African continent, which now has just under 1.3 billion people, 60% of those are youth, below the ages of about 30. 60%. If you do the numbers, that's a huge number. What realization have we come to? Like my aunt came to the realization that she can't marry off this gentleman by herself. We've come to the realization that we can't drive the education agenda by ourselves. Why have we put this event together? We've put this event together because of that realization. There was a time when governments could do most things. We've gone past that time because the population of the world was probably half what it is now. What works, and the only thing that will work, is if we take an approach that's similar to what my aunt took when my cousin was getting married. Create a system where every young African, despite where they came from, where they were born, whether they've got money or not, comes into a system. Not because they can afford it. If the issue had been, in our family, you must only decide to get married when you have all the money and everything, none of us would have even touched it. Why is this so important? Because the role we play in society is that role. The people sitting in this room are concerned about education. The people sitting in this room are concerned about what the next generation of leaders is going to be like. The people sitting in this room are concerned about not just the country, but the continent as a whole. I ask this question all the time. What is our generation's struggle? Those that went before us brought us liberation. Those that went before us brought us freedom. What's our generation's struggle? And our generation is anybody who looks anything close to me. I still have a hairline. What's our struggle? And if we don't define what our struggle is, the life we live for our children is a life that we can't necessarily define today. So this conversation and these conversations we're putting together are about bringing people together over the next couple of years and enabling an environment where you collaborate, and we collaborate in the interest of the many, many thousands upon thousands and millions of youth that are out there that need our help. We're putting together an environment, we're putting together a platform of people that will drive the African agenda forward with education at the peak. We celebrated innovators a few hours ago, young people that are doing things now. There are people, however, that we need to acknowledge that have gone before us, people that have done things differently and people that are in a generation that's now moving ahead. How do we get to a point of recognizing those people? One of the people sitting here today is the reason that we're all here. One of the people sitting here is the person who founded this company. The person who founded this company with the view of creating teachers. In 1996, this organization was started with the view of enabling and empowering teachers so that we could get more of the right teachers into our schools. So there was a company called Open Learning Group that offered courses, and there was a company that offered funding that they had to create because not every teacher could afford it. It was started with that heart, and one of the people that's here today is the founder of the organization. Sometimes we don't recognize these people enough, and I think it's important that while they're with us, we take time to actually just say thank you. So on behalf of Fundi, I'd like to do something that could cost me my next increase, because I haven't told, thank you, the chairman this. Yanni, on behalf of everybody sitting here, and on behalf of Fundi, may I ask you to come forward, please? So this is in recognition of the 1.5 million lives that you've touched. And it's important that you just get that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You want to say something?
It's an honor and a pleasure, and it was a privilege to be able to help all those kids. Thank you. Thanks, Amasi.
Thanks, Yanni. Thanks a lot.
You.
So on behalf of Fundi, thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Your Excellencies, we are privileged to have you, and we hope that we learn as much as we can while you're here. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for supporting us.
Welcome to Fundiverse, your universe for all things education and learning. Whether you are a parent, a student, a school, a retailer, or a business, the Fundiverse is for you. Meet Gina. Gina's family enjoys a convenient and simplified education and learning journey by being a Fundi customer. Gina has 2 kids of school-going age. Ever since Gina became a Fundi customer, she never worries about the challenge of sourcing her children's educational and learning needs. Fundi brings together and enables the end-to-end ecosystem of educational partners, giving Gina and her family convenience and peace of mind. In planning for the new academic year, households go in a frenzy to meet registration and academic supplies. Their worries emanate from the need to find the right school, admission fees, buying uniforms and stationery, technology devices, and transportation. We currently partner with many businesses and organizations providing end-to-end bursary fund management solutions. Our service includes a full bursary support management system. Our solutions also include matching students to bursaries, assessments, mentorship, transparent and secure fund administration or Fundi card, and personalized dashboards and reporting. Do what you do best and have complete peace of mind that your company's bursary fund is completely taken care of, allowing you to achieve more return on investment on your fund. A convenient, hassle-free solution. Gina makes use of our online platform to get reviews on different institutions around South Africa without visiting them. Testimonies from current scholars aid making a decision on where to send her loved ones. Gina has been able to apply for her children's tuition through our platform, education finance application, and did not need to visit our offices. Tuition is paid directly to their children's institution. Our platform offers Gina the opportunity to apply for a bursary on behalf of her university-going child. We manage bursaries for different industries. We partner with industry-leading companies to offer bursaries to students aligned to their function. Textbooks, past exam papers, rulers, pens, tablets, laptops are all purchased on the Fundi single-source online platform at the press of a button. Gina can say bye to the old and tedious way of getting her kids school materials. Gina's pride and joy will be off to university far from home. Gina can ensure her first year's accommodation is sorted by the time they arrive on campus via the single source online platform. We offer convenience and peace of mind. Scholars use FundiPay wristbands to buy their educational and learning needs in the school environment, whereas students use the Fundi card to access their funds and transact. Fundi's cashless devices are convenient, safe, easy to use, and allows beneficiaries to spend their funds as intended. Contact us today by calling our call center on 086 055 5544 or email us to support@fundi.co.za or visit our website at www.fundi.co.za. With Fundi, know more, be more.
I have a purpose, that's who